Hello, everyone, and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by your Southern California BMW Centers on the home of USC football, ESPN Los Angeles 710. We are live at the lab inside tonight on a cool, little wet Los Angeles night with the interim head coach Clay Helton and QB turned receiver Jalen Green. Plus, we'll get the season preview for women's basketball head coach Cynthia Cooper-Dyke. Later, we'll hear about the Coliseum renovation, all the business of USC from COO, CFO, the man of many titles, Steve Lopes. JJ, we need to get you some more titles. I'm Jordan Moore alongside John Jackson. And JJ, the Trojans, they may yet win a title because they seem to have found a winning formula. What do you think of it?
I just love the way that they're playing. I think that the biggest thing I see, and it was similar to the surge we saw last year, where everybody's playing for each other now. There's not individuals. They're not guys that are sort of out there doing their own thing. They're staying disciplined within rush lanes and things of that nature. So I think that, obviously you see the continuity on the field and it's showing up in the production. And, it's great to be a Trojan right now.
Well, let's hear from the man who is in charge, who has put this plan into action. Clay Helton joins us now, brought to you by your Southern California BMW Centers, exclusive partner of the SoCal BMW Crosstown Cup. Now during the BMW Mission to Drive, lease a 2015 BMW 320i sedan for as low as $369 a month with zero due at signing. Just sign and drive. Details at SoCalBMW.com. All right, Coach, we've got you as 2-1 now in your latest stint as the interim head coach. We're talking about the blueprint. You really laid it out. Run the football, stop the run, win the turnover margin. Now, some of those things are just the successful formula of any team, but you have changed things, obviously, in the last few weeks. My question to you is, when you took over as interim head coach, did you say, okay, this is the plan that I want to lay out, or are you adjusting to the personnel and sort of what works best for this particular group?
No, I really thought, and like I said, I thought with every fiber of my being, I thought we had a great football team and had a chance to make a championship run if we did some corrections. And, to win any championship, it's going to start up front, O-line and D-line, and in the trenches. And to do that, in this league, if you can run the ball, stop the run, and don't turn it over, you're going to win a lot of games. So we went in with that plan. We went into Notre Dame doing that and, fell short, made some mistakes, played with great effort over these last two games. I think we played very clean football, especially in the offensive line and defensive line, and they are going to be the ones that carry us throughout the season.
Coach, and that's an interesting point. It sort of sets the temperament of this team, and I'm talking about the run game in particular now, the way you're running the ball. We saw the 4th and goal with Trey, that, you decided to run the ball. There's 2 third-down conversions on the final drive that you chose to run the ball. Running every play on the final drive, to work clock and things of that nature. Tell me about how these guys are developing a mentality or a physical mentality, especially running the football, right?
Yeah, I want them to know, like I told them in the huddle prior to each one of those situations, we trust you as a coaching staff. You got Trey Madden, who's a senior, who's an experienced player who we trust with an offensive line. Jaleel Pinner leading that block for him. We told him, hey, we trust you. You're on 4th and 2. Let's go get it. And they do it. And then you come back on that last drive, and it's pretty neat. It's always neat as a coach when you know that everybody in the stands knows you're going to run it and you hand it off 6 times in a row and make 2 first downs and close out that game with 2 older running backs that I thought brought a very mature game to the table. Just really, really proud of our team for how they handled that situation.
The offense closed out the game, but you said afterwards you got to credit the defense for winning back-to-back games for you, and that's something to be said after coming out of Notre Dame where that was not what was being said. What has been the greatest area of improvement in the last 2 weeks for this defense?
Well, I think their physicality. When you look at how they're stopping the run right now, you looked at Utah, stopping a really, really talented running back in Booker, and then having the opportunity we started off a little bit at Cal. They decided to run the ball. We were in a nickel front, 4-down front, trying to get some pressure with our 4-down penetrating front, and had to change back to our 3-4 to stop the run. It was great adjustment in game by Justin, and it paid dividends. We got them to where they only could pass, and our DBs held up.
Yeah, tell me about that adjustment, because you've really given credit to Justin Wilcoxton. It's nice that he gets credit when it's due. And I'm just curious, that conversation, how does that work? Is that him and his defensive coaches? Are you involved in that? How quickly are you guys seeing the problem and trying to problem solve?
No, we communicate together. We were looking at the tendencies, and you look at that first quarter, every 1st and 10 was a run. And so they had come into the game playing a little bit of 11 personnel and putting a tight end on the field, and they were heavy tendency of run when that happened, especially on early downs. After the score, Justin and I talked and said, hey, their tendencies to run the ball. We may want to get in some of our 3-4 front or base front to shut that down. I thought he made a great decision to go to it, and obviously it worked.
Talk about our offensive line a little bit, because that's their temperament, right, to get them, to have that kind of mentality. I think that this group, and there's been a lot of movement, at different spots, whether it be the injury or whatever, but they all play as a cohesive unit. Does it start in practice? I mean, in terms of do they play next to each other all the time? How's that sort of working out to create that continuity?
Well, I think with any coach, what he wants to see, he wants to see a progression of getting better, not only as a unit but as a team, and I think that's what we're doing right now on every position group right now. And offensive line, credit to Coach Conley and what they're doing offensive line-wise. I thought over the last 2 weeks they've really brought a physicality to our run game, and especially in some tough situations that I put them in. I've asked them twice in Utah to go make 4th down plays that make me right, and twice and once once at Cal, and putting the trust in them, and man, they've got it done every time.
How much does the way the offense is playing and all of a sudden time of possession swing in your favor and you're running the football, how much is that helping the defense?
Well, it was our plan going in. We felt like we needed to limit the possessions of a very talented offensive football team and really, make first downs, keep the clock. That team had been they could put 90 plays on the game at any time. They had done it multiple times. They get 61 in that game. So 2 things are happening. 1, you're possessing the ball, but 2, you're getting off the field. And I was really proud of our defense for getting off the field on 3rd downs. I thought it went twofold there. Us running the ball efficiently and defense getting off the field on 3rd downs.
Expand on that a little bit, because we can go back, earlier in the season, even going back to last year, where we were questioning defensive line play and how and what's changed to get them to sort of raise their game to another level.
Well, I think that that we've stressed the importance of that group, both offensive line and defensive line, and have made it an importance in practice from starting on Tuesday with our team run segment, how competitive that is, and then going into Wednesday, our team pass segment and one-on-one pass rush. There's just been a huge stress on technique and fundamentals to improve at both O-line and D-line positions. The kids have really bought into it, not only effort-wise, but trying to be a student of the game, perfecting their craft. Really proud of them, and it's starting to pay dividends for us right now.
And it's paying dividends in the secondary, too, as you talked about. They held up. Adoree Jackson gets his first pick. Kevon Seymour gets a pick. They seem to be sort of working hand in hand, right? You're doing a better job of creating pressure, and then it's helping the back-end guys, and I assume you're covering, and it's giving the front guys better chance to get pressure.
If you go back and look at those 2 plays, you go back and look at it, when we get the pick for the touchdown with Adoree, you see Delvon Simmons and Anthony Sorrow right on top of, right when he threw the ball, they're hitting them. And then you go back to Kevon's, and you see Scott Felix really pushing the left tackle into the lap of Jared. And, it goes unnoticed. You see the pick, but what you don't see is the penetration that happened from the defensive line. So we actually pointed that out in our team meeting, those two segments of it. It works hand in hand, the pressure with the coverage.
I'll knock on wood before I ask this question. Turnovers. None, right?
Knock on wood.
I'm knocking. I already knocked. It's the 4th time this year, but, I mean, obviously that in hand leads to the success that you're having. How is it a byproduct of the stress that you're putting on it in practice, or is it one of those things that you guys, hey guys, just are we sort of just keeping quiet because it's going so well? How much do you?
It's something we talk about all the time because we know its importance is one of those factors to winning ball games. And you look over the entire season, we've had 7 total turnovers, which is the fewest in our league right now, and puts us for the best turnover margin in our league also because of it. And it's stressed weekly. I know from our ball security circuit, from talking about it on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, going in, it's a key to every victory. So, one, thank goodness, I thank God every day for Cody Kessler and the stability that he brings brings to that position and the decision-making that he brings to that position. And then our runners. Our runners are holding on to the ball. They're doing a great job of at contact, 2 arms on the ball, wrist above elbow, all those fundamentals that you need to have for good ball security.
And mention that, you mentioned the ball handlers. Do you think the rotation amongst the 3 of them, because 90% of the time those guys are fresh when they get the football in their hands, is that one of the byproducts of the lack of turnovers, is the fact that they're going in and they're...
Yeah, I think, one, they are going in fresh, but 2, I think one of the things that you're seeing right now, I think they're running very violently with low pad level. And when you run violently with low pad level, you don't get a lot of helmets on the ball. And you see how tight that ball is to their body. We always talk about never let it separate from that 4th point of pressure, which is your rib cage. They're doing a great job of really taking the technique and fundamentals that we work in practice and carrying it over to the game.
Well, that's the voice of interim head coach Clay Helton talking about the latest win for the Trojans over Cal. It's homecoming week this week. We'll get into Arizona when we come back. You'll listen to Trojans Live on ESPN LA 710.
Goff under pressure, throws, intercepted. Dory Jackson at the 46, steps it back into the 40, cutting down the left sideline at the 30. He's at the 20, looking for some blockers at the 15, down to the 10, 5. He is to the 1-yard line before he goes out of bounds, but they say touchdown, USC.
Is that how it works, JJ?
A little excited.
You yell at the referees. They can hear you all ready from the press box, and they put their hands up.
Just a little excited, Coach. Sorry about that. I got to apologize.
Don't worry. I was yelling, too. Give it to him.
Jordan Moore, John Jackson, and Clay Helton, the interim head coach here for USC. Coach, was there any doubt when Adoree finally got his hands on the pick that he was going to score on that thing? I said on air, he has such a Deion Sanders effect that once you're in a scramble mode and they have no defense set up to stop him, you can't.
It was funny because we had talked about earlier in the day about, hey, you're going to score a touchdown. I don't know whether it's a punt return, interception, or receiving a pass. You're going to score a touchdown today. And as soon as he did, I went over and hugged him. He said, Coach, you called it. He got it. I was so happy for him. He's been waiting for that for a while.
Offensive line play was exceptionally good, but Khalil Rogers in particular, how did he grade out in his first start?
I'm still amazed by the kid to be able to do what he's doing and still learning the position and works so hard at it and has been effective for us in 2 games. He's still, we had some snaps that were a little low and things that we've got to clean up this week, but just from an assignment standpoint, made a huge block on Rojo's touchdown, in the red zone there, pulling.
Yep.
He's doing great things for us. He's one of the big reasons we've been effective in the run game.
Only bad news that came out of that game was another injury, unfortunately. Talk about Juju Smith-Schuster. What do you know about his prognosis? And if he were to miss any time, how do you fill in for obviously somebody who's such an important player on this team?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk to Russ Romano earlier this afternoon. Juju had the hand surgery this afternoon. It went extremely well, even better than I think they thought it was going to be. So it went great. Everybody heals different. They've said the fastest they've seen this thing is in 3 days, but everybody heals different. So we'll see how it goes with Juju. I know he's one of the toughest men I've ever met as a player. I can't believe he came back out when he did and went down that series and made a huge catch for us. But he's a type of kid, if he can be back, he will. But we want to do everything possible to make sure he's healthy first.
Well, you get Mitchell and Rogers back, which is a good news. But you got Burnett and Jalen Green, who we're going to have on, in a minute, that have really came in and stepped their game up. Where we're not even talking about, hey, these guys are the backups or these guys aren't the original starters. And you guys haven't changed the game plan at all. They've really stepped in and made a nice role. How much of a pleasure is that to have that kind of depth? Maybe if you're missing Juju for a game, you're not that bad off.
Yeah, we don't change a thing. We've always talked about when it's your time and your opportunity goes, we're not changing anything. We trust you to make your plays. And you look at Deontay, you look at Jalen Green, DeQuan Hampton, even Isaac Whitney prior to his injury. I think, that whole group has really come together. I give the credit to the kids, but also to Morris Martin. Coach Martin is one of the premier wideout coaches in the country. What he's done with that group, his tutelage has brought those kids so far along, and I'm so glad he's one of our coaches here. He's exceptional.
Well, we talked about Dory. He's the joker in the deck. You can play him any way you want.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan or a public plan for his usage this week?
Well, we're still figuring out. We're still game planning, but last game he got 61 snaps, the majority on defense. But even on offense, he makes 2 receptions that move the chains things for us, and really was probably the most unbelievable decoy you could have when you hand him the sweep and then reverse it to Jalen. You know, that really opened up Deontay.
We're going to talk to Jalen here in a moment. At a certain point, are people going to realize that you have a quarterback playing receiver? We're running this play once a week. It works every single time.
I don't know. You know, really, you know, he's such a weapon because right now you look at him and he's not just being used for trick plays. He's being used as a receiver also. So, you know, we like to have a lot of fun with the trick plays. You know, I'm even getting suggestions from the players on the next ones. You know, so you know we're about having fun, and part of it is playing loose and playing unafraid, playing fearless, and that's the way we'll continue. So every week we'll have one, whether we get to it or not, we'll see. But we'll always have one in.
You know, I know that you're a son of an O-line coach, and right now there's several key plays where you're running the football. I mean, it's almost like everybody knows it's coming, but we're still going to run it. We might find a little imagination to it, but we're still running the football. How much has that shaped the character of what these guys are becoming? It seems like they're just more aggressive now, or am I seeing things? Talk about that.
I think that I hope they feel that there's a belief in them to get the job done, that there is no fear when a call is made that they're going to get the job done. I think that's what you have to do as a head coach and as a play caller, you know, put the game in their hands. Players win games, and we're talented at the O-line position, running back position, and you know what it's going to really open up, which I'm really excited about? I'm starting to see more one-high coverages now. Instead of taking the jujus away, we're starting to see some more single man-to-man coverages, which the next phase of it is going to be able to throw the ball over top of people's heads, which I'm excited about. So those two go hand in hand. There has to be a balance. It just can't all be pass, all be run. You know, that balance has got to be there. And very fortunately for us and fortunately for our staff, we have some great players at all positions on offense to get that done.
Well, you're listening to Clay Helton, and he'll be matching wits with Rich Rodriguez this weekend, and always a tough, you know, offensive coach, no doubt about it. What is he, when you look at that scheme, what kind of positions does he put you in? What does he make difficult for you?
Well, I tell you, he's been a guy that you just learn from year in and year out. You've been a head coach for over 20 years, and the success that he's had, you know, not only running spread. I remember when he was running the pass game as good as anybody. Yeah. Now he's running the running game as more than anybody in the country right now. 265 yards a game, leads our conference out of the spread offense there, and is putting up as many points as us. We're both tied for second in the league at 37.4. You know, so he's an unbelievable offensive-minded coach. He's very aggressive, both offensively, defensively, and the special teams. You know, and he's one of those fearless coaches. He has no fear. He's going to go for it. He's going to play it not very close to the vest. He believes in putting the game in the players' hands also. I've always been a fan of his and look forward to competing against him.
Are we starting to see the mentality or the reputation of this team in terms of being more physical? It just appears offensive line and defensive line, now we're starting to control the line of scrimmage. How much has that been sort of an emphasis? Because it just seems like it's starting to take over games, not just by coincidence. It's just something's happening that, you know, a year ago we were kind of, where's the pass rush? You know, all these type of things we were worried about with the front guys. Why has that changed?
Trojan football is known about physicality and toughness and winning at the line of scrimmage, and that's what we preached. You know, that's when we went into that Notre Dame game. We knew that was going to be our key to winning games down the stretch, and that's Trojan football. And the standard of excellence that's been set here for several years prior before us needed to be upheld, and so we made that our goal for the rest of the season. We were not going to be called the less physical team in any game that we played, and so that was our goal, and we've tried to set that standard each and every week.
Well, physical Trojan football will be on hand at the Coliseum on Saturday, and a good time for it. A lot of old Trojans will be back. It's homecoming weekend. 7:30 kick. The game will be on television, will be on ESPN. Of course, right here, ESPN LA 710, but you got to come down to the Coliseum to see it firsthand. Thank you to the coach and the Trojan fans out there. If you want a chance to win tickets to the UCLA game on November 28th and attempt to throw to share $1 million, our friends at Eckrich and Ralph's are giving you that chance. To register, go to EckrichFootballChallenge.com or text Eckrich, E-C-K-R-I-C-H, to 82257. You can take center stage at the biggest game. Contest ends on November 11th. Make sure to register today for your chance to win. No purchase necessary. See official rules for details. Thank you, Coach. When we come back, we'll talk about that trick play master. We'll talk to that trick play master. It's the QB turn receiver, Jalen Green, next up on Trojans Live.
You're listening.